Hello! Hi! Greetings. Do you find yourself struggling with endgame content in Final Fantasy XIV Online Shadowbringers? Do you want a somewhat helpful guide in how to complete said endgame content? Well, boy howdy do I have the guide for you. Disclaimer, I'm going to be lining things out in this video as in-depth as I can, and I may come off like I'm talking to you as if you've never done a hard fight in this game before. To be clear, I don't think you're all idiots, I just come off as condescending naturally. My name is Pomp, and this is a casual guide to Memoria Misera. Extreme. Picture this. You're helping your good friend out. He's experiencing an early onset of dementia, but the dementia is about 8 foot tall and really wants to kill you. That's Varus. He's a jerk. So what do? Well, of course we beat the ever-living crap out of it. Disclaimer 2, and pay attention here. This guide was developed between myself and my friends. While some of the movements here may work for some, others might find it easier to try another strategy. And for those folks, more power to you. I'm just offering what we found helpful and what assisted us at the time. So with that out of the way, let's get this started. First up, Atlius, or as we affectionately refer to it as Stack and Stare. So this is a raid-wide, pay attention to that term, it comes up a lot, attack which will damage everyone. But wait, there's more. After the actual explosion goes off, he'll then deposit some nasty crosses on all party members that after a few seconds will go off and scatter line AoEs, area of effect, attacks in the direction that they are facing. Now, let's talk positioning for the attack. You're going to want your main tank, the guy who'll position the boss, facing the boss north here. While the party, off-tank, the guy who'll grab the boss who should the main tank die included, will stand behind Varus and his booty or lack thereof. Here. Xeno certainly didn't get that dummy thickness from him, though. That much is clear. That's like a giant beanpole. With this positioning, you guys will be able to avoid the AoEs and live. But that's where things will amp up a little, because once placed, he'll start casting Alia Lacta Est. For this, he's going to target a random party member that isn't the main tank. But if you position just like we've talked about for that first attack, he'll face towards the party. Yeah, when he does this, make sure to run behind him right away. But why, I hear you ask? Well, it's because he's going to slice and dice you all to Kingdom Come if you don't. He'll swing 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Counting the slashes really does help, trust me on this one. And after the 4th slash, move back through him because then he'll slash a 5th time. And after the 5th slash, the Atlius AoEs will resolve, so be careful, otherwise you'll get clipped by them after the slash. Congrats! You're officially 2 minutes into the fight. Now that those are resolved, next up is Sidious, which is the tank buster. What you want to do with that is have your 2 tanks, both of them, share it and pop a cooldown. I would recommend Heart of Stone if you're a gunbreaker, because it's got a very quick recast time and it can be ready almost every time you're going to need it for a tank buster. You can pop your normal tank cooldowns if you want, just one of them will suffice, like Rampart is usually a good way to go. I don't usually play other tanks, I'm a gunbreaker main myself, but what are you gonna do? After this, he will cast Ignis Est. Ignis? Ignis Est, there we go. I can't talk. There are 2 kinds of this move, so pay attention. Ignis is the fire move, and that will require that you move out of the inner circle that Varus himself is standing in. Ventus is the wind move, and that requires that you stay in the circle. Remember this? This is going to be important later, trust me on this one. Ignis will target a random party member, whereupon he will create a flaming slash. Well, Ignis and Ventus will both do this, but for now I'm just explaining what Ignis will do. Once the slash is created, you need to stack with your healers. It helps to designate your healers as 1 and 2, so you know who's stacking where. You'll need to get out of the inner circle he's standing on, and then stack with said healers as he'll jump to both. And if you do it right, you'll live. If not, well, you die. For this trial, it's best to decide positions at the start while you're marking your healers and your stacks. For best effect, you want to spread out to clock positions. See that term? You pay attention to that one too, it's very important. What this means is... Well, hang on, let me just... There we go, alright. So you've seen a clock before, right? It's just like this. It helps put waymarks in these positions so that way you can find them easily, alright? Okay, on with the guide. So, the next mechanics involve his shield, and I'm going to lay them out for you here now so you can refer to them later, okay? So, the first is Electrified Gun Shield. This will cause a bar to fill up and charge. Once it reaches 100, he'll cast a knockback. Next up is Reinforced Gun Shield. Whenever this bar charges, he'll cast a directional parry a la Ravana style, and if you hit it, you'll receive a bleed and a damage down. This mechanic is a bitch, because he'll either put the parry to his sides or to his front and back, and it's random which one he chooses. So my advice, stop pressing buttons when he reaches 100 and just wait. Just wait for it, and then when it comes out, just see where it is and start attacking again. And then finally, Loaded Gun Shield. Now this is a spread mechanic with no markers whatsoever, so essentially, whenever this reaches 100, he'll fire into the air, and if your party isn't spread out to your clock positions, you'll get hit with kinda big AoEs and you will kill each other because the AoEs will overlap and you will get blown to Kingdom Come. Okay, that's the shield mechanics. That's that, I'll lay it out for you, it's out of the way. So let's discuss what happens while he's charging his shield. So, after he finishes his cast of Electrified Gun Shield, he'll follow it up with Atlius, like before, stack behind him, follow the same directions we laid out before, and then he'll cast Ignis Est after the Atlius finishes. You want to stay behind him so he targets a member of the party and then move to the sides so you don't get clipped by the Atlius AoEs. Once the AoEs go off, move out of the inner circle to your intercardinal positions, not north, east, south, or west. It's like we showed on the drawing. Because Ignis will go off and then he'll use the knockback. And if you don't position that right, you're going to get knocked into the wall, which will then trap you. And if someone doesn't break you out quick, you're going to die. And if you are broken out, congratulations! You've just been slapped with a slow debuff, so have fun trying to do your rotation. Well, thankfully it only lasts a couple of seconds, and if you're a real smart cookie, you can pop knockback mitigation like Arm's Length or Surecast. That way, you won't get pushed back and you can keep dealing that delicious, delicious damage. Next up, Reinforced Gun Shield. Once cast, he will then follow up with Sidious, so make sure that your tanks are ready to take it. Once finished with the Tank Buster, he'll put up the parry, so be ready to stop attacking just in case. The parry only lasts about 5 seconds, so once done, feel free to move back into your original position again. And finally, Loaded Gun Shield comes into play. So once that cast is finished, he'll then use Ventus Est. Yeah, remember the wind attack we talked about earlier where you stay in the circle? That one. No, not him. Not him. Hey, if it helps you remember, then go for it. Ventus will go off just before the bar fills, so be ready to spread to your clock positions whenever the bar fills. So that way, you don't kill any of your fellow party members. If you're still with me, good job. You've made it to the phase transition. Look at you, doing that surviving and doing a good job of following the mechanics. This is the big one, though. He'll cast Vivire. He's going to start casting Militaire Sans Frontières, which will then signal the transition. A cool cutscene that won't ever get boring or stop annoying you that you're losing your stacks of buffs and other important things, Rip Black Mage, Monk, and other such classes. It'll play, and then it is go time. So tanks, you guys need to quickly, and I do mean quickly, pop your mitigations, then click on the Blade's Pulse icon. From there, all you gotta do is just hit the active time maneuver, press the button and keep the meter up, you're all good. Everyone else, you need to attack the Blade's Blood and destroy it within a 60-second time window. Oh, and the healers also need to make sure that the tanks don't die, or else, yeah, you guessed it, you wipe. Someone didn't do enough damage in time, well, you wipe. A tank didn't mitigate and they died, wipe. Wipe. This isn't a standard DPS or heal check, this is an everything check, and we refer to it as such. But once you get past it, woohoo! Hooray! You're now in phase 2. And things get very hectic from here, so hold on to your butts, folks, alright? The first thing to be aware of is that the next 3 attacks that I'm going to lay out for you will be randomized and consist of the shield phases with added bells and whistles. What that means is each of the shield charges will signify something new, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over that for you so you guys know what to look out for. So let's get started with that. Reinforced Shield, okay? So this consists of Altius followed by a Ventus cast as well. Once he slashes, you need to get out and go to the sides to make sure you don't get clipped by the Altius AoEs again, just like before. The bar will fill before the Ventus goes off, so be sure to pay attention to where his directional parry will appear. Because, again, that's random, so you just need to make sure you don't get whacked by it. Once it wears off, the Ventus will go off, and then he'll follow it up with the Tank Buster Sidious again. For Loaded Gun Shield, this is where things will start to get a little tricky, because once he finishes the cast, he'll follow up with Ignis. The bar will continue to fill up, but just before it does, he'll send out duplicates of himself that will set up line AoEs across the entire arena. There's a safe spot, though. You need to pay attention to the north of the arena, because that's where all the clones will go. There'll be a safe zone where there won't be any line AoEs, so you'll need to, once it's found, you need to call it out, or one of your teammates will need to call it out, and then head there after you're spread, because again, loaded gun shield is going to go off and, explode the hell out of you. So, whenever the loaded gun shield goes off, when everybody has spread out, Ignis will go off, so make sure you're out of the center of the circle. Then you need to move to the safe zone and stack with your healers again, because, this fight just loves to be, hey, do this, and then do this, and do that, and do that, and do that. It's a lot of work, and once that's all resolved, he'll again follow up with the tank buster, so you need to make sure your tanks are ready and, out of your stacks and stuff. Electrified gun shield. This is an add phase. Once the cast finishes, he'll then cast reinforcements. 2 party members will receive tethers, which then need to be passed to your tanks. He'll also summon 3 turrets, which need to be destroyed, as they will most definitely cleave you if you're not careful. Oh yeah, and you'll also need to watch the north again, because he'll also set up those line AoEs, just like before with loaded gun shield, so you need to be ready for those as well. The line AoEs will go off just before his charge bar fills, so make sure you've killed all your turrets and, all the stacks and the tethers have resolved, so that way you can get close to him. Because otherwise, whenever that knockback goes off, you're going to be yeeted into that wall so quickly, you won't even realize what's going on. Once the knockback resolves, he will then cast the Alia attack, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slashes thing. So, get behind him, don't get slashed, just like at the start of the fight, just like we discussed, and you'll be good. But keep in mind, the order that I have discussed these in will not be the order that you will always receive, because Phase 2 will select from those three different phases at random. But once the third one resolves, there'll be another transition, which in itself is actually a DPS phase. So Varus is just gonna zoom to the north of the arena and then create a big energy shield and start slowly casting Altius. If that cast goes off, death will embrace you quite fondly. So you just need to bring your A game with the damage and you'll be good. He'll use 2 attacks during this, however, and like before, the use of them is random, so I'll let you know what the attacks are. So, you've got Magitech Torch, which is basically just a big laser that you need to have the entire party with you to stack for, nothing more than that. And then there's Magitech Spark, which is the opposite of Torch. Your party needs to be spread out because all of you are going to get targeted by a cone AoE, every single one of you. And you can cleave your party members with it, and you can kill them, and it is screwed up if you do it on purpose. So just make sure you're all in an area away from each other, and you'll be all gravy. And then from here, he won't attack again, so all you need to do is focus on breaking the shield, and then boom! Next phase. But after this, well, the next mechanics are probably, without a doubt, the most difficult to get down at first. So I'm going to do my best to explain it to you guys. So bear with me on this. So, he'll hop back into the middle of the arena and cast Loaded Gun Shield, and immediately follow up with a move called Fortius. If you've done Hades EX, you may notice something a little bit familiar about the move, just a little touch. And thankfully for you lovely folks, I have an amazing drawing here that can help explain this. So just give me one moment, I'll just pop that up on the screen, and boom! Okay, so we've got Asshole right in the middle here. Essentially, he's going to fire out cone AoEs at each member of the party. This is why we need those clock positions that we talked about earlier, because they're really, really, really important. Each party member will need to spread to their positions. Once the first cone goes off, a puddle will be dropped at their feet, which will damage them if they stand in it. From here, you move towards Varus. He will send another cone to the side of each member. After it goes off, move to the left. He'll fire another cone, then you move back to the right. So essentially, it's in, left, right. Pretty simple. Then, once you've moved to the right, you need to spread back out again, because the charge bar, yeah, don't forget about that, quite important, it will fill, and then he will fire the AoEs again. So don't kill your party members, because those AoEs will rip you to shreds if you're not careful. After they go off, you will need to stack with your healers again. It's a lot to keep track of, and so it's okay to get confused. Like it is honestly really rough. But that's why I have some footage here playing in the background, so that way you guys can actually see the attack and get some knowledge of it too. So, after the first Fortius, he'll cast Electrified Gun Shield, the knockback one, and Fortius again. So, he'll set up some line AoEs at the north too, so you need to pay attention to your safe zone and just repeat the same movements for Fortius too, in, side, side. So in, left, right, in, left, right. Super simple. Just keep that committed to memory, and you'll be fine. Once Fortius is done, you need to get to the safe zone for those line AoEs, and then get in after the line AoEs resolve, because they'll resolve, you know, the line AoEs they'll go just before the bar fills, so you'll have time to actually get back into the middle, or, you know, pop your knockback mitigation, and you'll be fine. You'll be good. So good job, guys. At this point, you're almost there. There's just one more wall that you need to pass, and then you're basically home free. Alright, so this next part doesn't really have a name, per se. So what we're going to do is we're just going to call it the kitchen sink phase, because he quite literally throws everything and the kitchen sink at you. So everything that you've seen before, he will just kind of start chucking stuff at you. So first, he'll cast Altius, while at the same time setting up the line AoEs at the north of the arena. What you need to do for this is you need to find the safe zone first, okay? Once you have a safe zone, your entire party needs to stack together with your back facing the safe zone. Like, don't stare at the safe zone, make sure you're pointed with your back to the safe zone. Face Varus, because whenever he drops those AoEs on you, the crosses, you don't want them clipping you in this very small safe zone that you have, because the last thing you need is to be running all over the place whenever all this other stuff goes off. So, once he drops the Altius on you, you'll need to immediately stack with your healer group. So, one healer group will go up to the north of the safe zone, the other healer group will go to the south of the safe zone. It's a lot. It's a lot, but you just trust me, you'll be good with this, okay? It's really important that you are all in the safe zone, because Varus will then jump to you, so that way he's in the safe zone as well, because the guy walks like he's stuck in molasses. Like, it's almost like his bones don't work. He's like, oh, I can't move. So once he lands, he will then cast Ventus, followed by Alia. So be ready to run through him and then back through him again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, through him, 5, and then move back through him again, because, or stay out of his range, because after he does that 5th slash, Ventus will go off, as well as all of those AoEs from before. So the Altius AoEs, the line AoEs, Ventus AoE, like, everything is going to go off at once. So if you do it correctly, you'll all be alive, and then he'll just repeat Fortius 1 and Fortius 2 again before enraging. So, if you've kept your damage up, and you made it this far without dying, well,
Sides again, and then get rid of the spread.
He's dead.
Get ready to spread, get ready to spread.
Spread.
Spread it out, spread it out.
He's dead. Don't need to.
Let's see the cutscene.
Fuck yeah!
Guys, we're like,
You are all fucking legends. Hang on.
Maybe you'll get a clear too. Thanks for watching. I really do hope that all of you enjoyed the video. The footage that you see here is of, me and my friends getting our clear on day 2 of the content being available, and we really couldn't have been happier, because honestly, it's a really fun fight, and it was really fun to just kind of go in there and just figure it out without any help. This was all done live on Twitch, and if you're interested, if you're so inclined, you can check it out. It's at www.twitch.tv/pop_with_circumstance. But that's enough self-promotion. You take this guide, you get out there, and you kick his ass, because you gotta get that gear somehow. Toodles.